Hi, and welcome to Hyde Talk. And I'm your host, Jen LeBozo. Hyde Talk is an open and honest discussion about character, leadership, and education. Today's special guest is Pam Bertschy. Pam, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. And we have the unique experience of filming in your childhood home today.
Yes, I grew up here. I think I lived here until I graduated from high school.
Yeah, that for you, we have a unique experience, and you in general have a very unique perspective of Hyde, having been a child of faculty, so grown up on this campus, went to school on this campus, and then became a faculty member.
Yep.
And how long have you been on the faculty?
38 years.
That is a lifetime. I'm only 36.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome. Yeah, you could be my mom. But I would love to really, with that, there's a lot of life, and I know that Hyde has been such a part of your life and what you value. And so would really love to hear, take us back a little bit as the nostalgia hits into what was it like growing up on this campus and being the daughter of a Hyde faculty member?
I loved it. And when we grew up, when I came, I was 5 and went to school across the street at Fisher Mitchell. There were a bunch of other faculty kids, and we had the run of the campus. We could play anywhere we wanted to. The gym was being built. New dorm where Governor's is now had just been built. But we really enjoyed ourselves immensely. There was a pool we could use. There was a low ropes course, probably we shouldn't have been on, but we did outside of where the dining hall is now. We just loved it. Sledding, skating, every season was different.
This campus was your playground.
Was a total playground.
What is your earliest memory from this campus and when you came to Hyde?
When I came to Hyde, we were walking down this road. We had come down here and then we had turned around. I was with my mom and I think my sister, and I was really shy. And we met Blanche and Gigi Gauld, and Gigi was 4 at the time, and she was like Tigger, and I was like Eeyore. Like I was exceedingly shy, and she was just couldn't contain her excitement at seeing other people her age, and we became fast friends. I don't know if it was from that day on, but she was in my sister's class, and so we hung out a lot.
Is that the moment that drew you to Hyde, or was it really your father who?
Oh, my father.
Okay. And what was his journey here?
Yeah. Interestingly, they were working at Roosevelt High School on Long Island. And his best friend came up here to teach. I'm not sure what he taught. His name was Jerry Hurley. And he called my dad. We were living on Long Island. He called him and said, we need a chemistry teacher up here at this private school. Do you want to come up and be a part of it? And we did. You know, there was crane wasn't here, the big, large crane at the BIW.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was totally different. I mean, the landscape has changed immensely since I was 5. But yeah, that was our journey. And he was a faculty member here for 18 years. And he had a lot of different jobs. And I think what was easy for me about him being a faculty member here is most people liked him. And so I didn't have to put up with people telling me about my father other than good things. I mean, he was a coach and he taught chemistry and had a huge part in the PA. He was a choreographer. He made himself into a choreographer, which was interesting because he was not he would stay at home and watch these choreography shows, which was very strange for us. But yeah, he had a great career at Hyde.
And having children and being a faculty member on this campus, I always sort of wonder what is their view of how I interact with the people on campus in Hyde. And so what, from the lens of a daughter, what was the view of your dad and how Hyde students were with him or how he interacted with the community?
I imagine he and I are a lot alike. Like, I have a very dry sense of humor. He was very funny. He would like to get laughs out of the kids. He could also hold a firm line. But people have come up to me, even now, even today, and say, your dad he was the guy. When I was at Hyde, he would pull me aside and tell me what I needed to do and make sure I was comfortable and challenged. And it was nice seeing him in that light. There wasn't the bad part came when I was a student at Hyde, and just the fact that he was on campus. It was nothing I couldn't handle.
Did you ever envision yourself as a faculty member?
Okay, so my plan, no, not when I was a kid. My plan when I actually came to Hyde was, okay, I'll spend 2 years at Hyde, and then I'm going to go pursue coaching basketball at a higher level. That never happened. Mm-hmm. But that was my original plan.
So just like a great Hyde student, you can scheme. So Pam, in coming to Hyde, was that a choice your family made? Was that a choice you made? What led the decision for you to be a student?
So that's a great question, because I think I was the only one in my family that got a choice because I was doing well. I was an athlete. My grades were good. I think my parents would have left me in the public school, but I looked at what the Hyde kids had, and I just said, that's what I want. I don't know, I don't think I could put a word to it, but they were substantial. They were thoughtful. They were joyful. They were people I wanted to be. And I also like the diversity on campus. There wasn't much diversity in Bath, Maine at that particular time. And that's what I wanted. So it was my choice. And I chose well.
Clearly. And in your life growing up and in your core family, were you quote unquote doing Hyde? Were you talking about the words and principles? Were the values of the community instilled within your family, or was it what was going on in this house for you and your family?
Well, my mother was a really great parent, and she instilled a lot of what we became as people in us. I mean, we saw what was going on at Hyde, and we weren't into family meetings. We weren't into talking about the words and principles, but it was understood. It was understood that we were going to be honest people. We were going to be people that were successful in the community. We were going to be people that did our best. We were going to be people that were nice to people. We were always, my sister and I were always fighting for the underdog. I don't know where I learned that. I just know that that's where I did. And my mother was a great disciplinarian, and she understood that it wasn't about the relationship. It was about who I was going to become when I was older. And she did not care. That's probably not true. Her first instinct wasn't, does my daughter like me? But it was, is she becoming who she can be? And that was her gift to all of us, all three of us that grew up in this house. And my dad was he was kind of the inspiration. He was the comedy. He was when we needed to be talked to, in various situations, he would be the one to go in and talk to us. But my mom was the real, because he was at Hyde a lot. I mean, back then they didn't have any time limits for how long your day was, whether you were on duty. But the nice thing was we got to see him do his work. And so that was
be
an
a part of it.
example. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. It just sounds like you're describing how the words and principles and values, it wasn't overt, but it was such an undercurrent of your family.
Yep.
And being the best, just try, your mom trying to be the best that she could be, so that, and that it was sort of this understanding that you all were going to try to live that. Is that, so what pieces of your life have really influenced who you are as a faculty member?
I would say it's a mixture of my mother and my father, and sort of my navigating the difference between the two. I think in my earlier years at Hyde, I was much tougher on kids. And which, is neither here nor there, but she was a disciplinarian, so that came out. But as I grew into the role and got more comfortable being a faculty member and not having to always show my authority or getting more comfortable in authority, then my dad could come out. The humor could come out. The teasing could come out. The, getting to know kids on a deeper level could come out. But it was a total mixture between the two of them. My mother she was all business. She was firm. She was like, there was not a whole lot of loving, warm hugs and kisses. That wasn't her. But my father was more of that for me.
Mm-hmm. But what a gift to be able to take the best of both parents.
Yeah.
And use those attributes as a catalyst for who you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. It was nice to have those examples.
Mm-hmm. And why did you come back to Hyde? So did you go and pursue coaching basketball at a higher level?
No, I didn't. And I came back because I knew Hyde had been extremely important in my growing up years. And what I learned when I was a student in terms of leadership and how I wanted to work in the world, I think that's essentially what led me to Hyde. And I also knew that Hyde was going to hold me to my best. Mm-hmm. And I remember at one point I was complaining to Gigi about, they don't really, and she was a faculty member too. I think I was in my third year, maybe second. And I was like, they take me for granted. They never tell me that I'm doing a good job. I don't feel like they want me to be here, blah, blah, blah. Gigi just looked at me and she said, you're being a baby right now, right? And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that would happen. And you'd find out, okay, yeah, I am being a baby. What do I really want? And what I really wanted to do was help people change and change their lives. And in so doing, change the world. Mm-hmm. And if I could do that, then that's important stuff. And also, if people can push me to be better, that's also important.
Mm-hmm. And something you've said that's resonated so deeply with me and when I think about you is, you haven't had children, but yet you've had so many children.
Yeah.
And, just talk a little bit more about that and where, Hyde has changed so much. Yes, we talk about that a lot, but, how you have changed throughout your life.
Oh, geez. Yeah, luckily I had really good friends that allowed me to, in a sense, parent their children, allowed me into their families, and this includes my own family, my nieces and nephews. It gave me a chance to kind of work with little kids and teach them what I know and just laugh with them, be a disciplinarian. And I think that came across. It took me a long time to figure out that I could be soft and still instill important things in people. And I think kids can show you that. So many moments with everybody's children where you don't have to do anything amazing. You just have to be there for their important moments. That's really all I did, and express how I felt about them. And I think that's what people really want. They want to know, okay, is she going to be here? Is she not going to be here? You know, can I count on her? Will she tell me the truth? And that's, I think, what is important. And, you know, I've changed a lot being at Hyde. Again, I said that in my early years, I was the disciplinarian, the authoritarian, which didn't really allow me to show my softer side. And who knows if that was ego or just, I was trying to establish myself. And so that's how I did it. And then I grew up. I don't know. You just sort of, okay, this maybe is not working the way I want it to work. I have to do some things differently. And also the world changed. So you have to do a lot of things differently. And I totally value the relationships I made on my Hyde journey with a lot of the students. Hundreds of students that I've taught.
And something you just said, you talked about that adaptability piece. You've seen so much life throughout your time, with Hyde. And yes, the world has changed. People have changed. You've seen multiple generations.
Yeah.
And so to shed the authoritarian and let the youthful spirit come through is key. And I think you do that best when you're in performing arts. And you could be an authoritarian and give them the little, the banter in there, which is really important in working with the students. And you can earn respect that way.
Oh, yeah. I think so. They don't always have to be right. And they don't always have to do it my way, which is something I had to learn. My way wasn't always the right way. It was just our way.
Right.
And they could teach me a lot more about their ways, too.
And yes, the world has changed. It's a different generation. But thinking about all the things that you've taken away and taken in, what is some advice you would give to a current Hyde student or even a high school student, which is a very formative time of life?
Yeah, one, I would say it gets better. The more you get to know yourself, the more you get to know how you interact with people, the more you attach yourself to a purpose rather than a personality, the better you're going to feel about who you are, where you're going, what you want to do. Teenagers, it's such a difficult time. Whenever I say I work with teenagers, people go, God bless you.
Yeah.
No, I actually like this age. I like all their angst. I can also cut through it pretty quickly.
Yes. And you don't know who you are.
No.
Sometimes they think they know who they are. They don't know who they are yet.
And they have all the answers.
Exactly.
I thought I knew everything. When I was a teenager, I thought I had the world by the tail. It was my way. I was like, yeah. You get taught pretty quickly that's not true.
When did that shift for you? What were some other life experience that you had that played a role?
Oh, geez. College. I didn't like college. I wasn't a social being, so college was really difficult. Because I didn't, party, I wasn't that person. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to make friends that were deep and genuine with the kind of friends that I had at Hyde. And when you go to college, it was tough to find those people that weren't just about, the fun stuff of college, but were there because they wanted to learn something about who they were and where they were going in life. I mean, you could find them, but for me, it was difficult.
That's a particular struggle, and you've lived through a variety of other struggles. What have you tapped into maybe that you learned about yourself from Hyde? I mean, you're speaking about the value of community and meaningful relationships. What else have you tapped into in some tough times?
I would say just strength, the ability to get through something, the ability, my mom always would say, just put one foot in front of the other. It doesn't have to be big steps. It could be baby steps, but just keep moving. And that I was taught by many Hyde teachers. Bet on myself. Bet on what I have inside that's strong and true and good. And yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff. Always asking for help before it gets too late, and that's a lesson I keep having to learn, I think. But the community and just the way people here care for each other, I can't imagine being anywhere else, because I love the people that I work with and would do anything for them. And I think I learned that at Hyde. That and just be honest. There is no way around it. I lied a lot when I was younger. There were a lot of things I did that I wasn't proud of, but there came a time where I just said, I can't do that anymore because of what I learned at Hyde, because I knew that was undermining my confidence. Mm-hmm. And so I remember saying to myself at one point, when asked a direct question, I will not lie. I mean, that's how simple it got for me. And after being at Hyde, I think that's really what helped was, okay, I have to be somebody of integrity. Mm-hmm. My word has to mean something, and I'm not going to put myself into a position where I have to lie for anybody or, I just think being honorable, being somebody of integrity, and that I learned definitely at Hyde. And I think that's what, when I was in junior high looking at the Hyde kids, that's what I saw from them. That they were just genuine, good people who wanted to make a difference with their life.
That's a wonderful point of view. I hope my children have that point of view of the students, even though we as faculty can have this view of total different perception of how the students even view themselves. But for you as a child to have that about high school students, that says a lot about the community.
We also were one of the first schools. I mean, maybe not, I don't know the history of it, but I grew up with all kinds of different types of people. Mm-hmm. There was diversity on the campus. So I learned how to deal with everybody, which was also a huge lesson at Hyde. I mean, you get to see a lot of different types of people, and they're all the same.
Right.
There's no difference. I mean, they're different, but you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. Yeah. And you've alluded to the legacy that your father imprinted at Hyde, and I think we can all still feel that. What, in a podcast in 30 years, what do you hope people are speaking about for your legacy, for Pam Bertschy's legacy?
I hope that kids, and I know that they do because they do tell me this, so it's not that I believed in them when they didn't necessarily believe in themselves, that I loved them in a different way than they were used to being, loved and pushed and challenged, that I was no pushover, but that I taught them that, something about life that was valuable, and they saw through my strength or through my humor or through whatever I do that this journey is important. Surrounding yourself with people who are strong is important. Surrounding yourself with good, honest people. There is no substitute for that. I hope they know, and I know they know because I've talked to some of them, just how much everybody's meant to me in my career. And sort of the lessons they've taught me about letting somebody in that they would not normally let in, or hearing something that was tough but still moving through it, and just the honesty. And they see themselves better than when they came in, or in a more, I can't think of the word right now.
Hopeful point of view,
absolutely.
More optimistic perspective.
They know they're worth something. They know their life is meant to be something important. And that's, I hope I give that message to everybody. Maybe not in a direct way, but that's what I hope.
Yeah, well, sometimes a legacy isn't about this direct point of view, but more of a feeling.
Right.
And you don't always remember what people have said to you, but you certainly remember what people have made you feel.
Exactly.
And I think you do that every day and do impart that on many different students in our student body.
Well, thank you.
And us, your colleagues, us, our team, our community.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Pam, for taking your time today to sit down with us. And
well, thanks for making it easy.
it isn't easy, but
No.
It's always easy to talk to you.
Yeah. Great.
This has been Hyde Talk, and I'm your host, Jen Labozo. Please make sure to check out Hyde Talk on all your favorite podcast platforms, and please join us again.